legacy, especially in the national political arena. Ibrahim Balde helps us refresh our memories of the man, his legacy, and some of his achievements.
That journey to unearth some aspects of the illustrious career of an individual who has inspired so many people can be a tricky assignment. What's more, this individual lived for 9 decades. Hassan Musa Kamara is the embodiment of humility and perseverance. The most noticeable aspect of his contribution to nation building was in 1981. As Vice President of the Republic, Hassan Musa Kamara was perhaps the president that never was, since an armed insurrection led by Kukoy Samba Sanyang attempted to overthrow the government while Sadada was out of the country in England. Lasting for a week, the 1981 coup shook Hassan Musa Kamara, but not his resolve. His loyalty to the government of the day he had served and helped inspire ideas that eventually paid dividend. The rebels were ultimately driven out of the streets by the Senegalese forces. On September 15th, at the National Assembly, Hassan Musa Kamara's body was laid in state. It was a mark of respect, honor, and manifestation of one's contribution to nation building.
When an old man of this age dies in Africa, the whole library is burned down. But we are lucky for the simple reason that he shared his knowledge with his family, with his friends, with his students, with his acquaintances. And I hope, even though the library is burned today, that knowledge stays with the family. So what should the family do? What should everybody who knew Hassan Musa do? Is to learn from his experience, is to learn from his character. That's all we have to do today, and pray for him as well, for we shall surely meet him in the next world.
Though it was an unfortunate incident, July 31st, 1981 will forever remain in the minds of those who witnessed it. However, the next aspect of life was Sadada's installation as president again, and stability was restored. The fate of the rebel leader was unknown. Some of the rebels were captured and subsequently detained. Prominent Gambians such as Justice Hassan Jallow will find time to reflect on what happened to the first ever contract judges to preside over the coup plotters' historic case.
Well, in 1981, we had this revolt by a kind of Marxist-Leninist group, which we took up arms and tried to overthrow the government. It was unsuccessful. It was put down by loyalist forces, supported by Senegalese soldiers. Many people were, of course, arrested for their involvement in this bloody event. And then the question was, how would they be tried? The Gambia is a small country. It was even much smaller then, some 30 years ago. I don't think we were up to 1 million people, or just about 1 million people. And the government, headed by Sadada Jallow, had concerns about the ability and the impartiality, or the challenges that a judiciary of locals would face in trying to prosecute and adjudicate on these cases of treason. These were serious charges of treason against some of the senior rebels. So it was decided that in order to ensure that there were free and fair trials, that Gambians should not be involved, Gambian judges should not be involved in these cases, nor should Gambian prosecutors be involved in the cases, but that foreign judges and foreign prosecutors would be hired to come in and do the job. So as a result, a special division of the then Supreme Court was established, providing for the appointment of foreign judges. And the judges were appointed by the president, largely from Sierra Leone, Ghana, and Nigeria.
While in public office, Hassan Musa Kamara played a big role in transforming society. Such was life. And life, like Shakespeare said, is like a stage.
Because he believed in what Shakespeare said, that the world is a stage and all men are merely players. He was aware of that and he played his role very well.
In this gathering here today, we have a lot of byproducts of the late Honorable Hassan Musa Kamara. I'm proud to be a product of my late uncle Hassan Musa Kamara.
In the fourth quarter of 2013, the Gambia played host to a conference of tourism ministers from countries that belong to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Well, the Gambia, of course, is no stranger to hosting major international events. And like all the others that preceded it, the 8th confab of the OIC tourism ministers was a resounding success. Tourism ministers from member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation meeting in Banjul for the first time. The high turnout speaks volumes about the importance the bloc attaches to the sector by virtue of the contribution tourism continues to make to the growth and development of their economies. Like all dynamic sectors, tourism also has its challenges, and that aspect was certainly not overlooked by the conclave. Progress made in the implementation of the OIC framework and achievements registered also featured prominently. No wonder officials are no doubt not shying away from underscoring its significance.
As a member of the Islamic Ummah, common interest with the OIC in terms of the propagation of Islamic cultural and social values, economic cooperation between the Gambia and other member states of the OIC, and also in terms of even educational cooperation. So the Gambia benefits in diverse ways.
Member states like the Gambia derive a lot from tourism through foreign exchange earnings and the thousands of jobs the hospitality industry creates. But the OIC wants the sector to do more for the teeming mass of people who live in the 57 countries that make up of the bloc, hence the theme, fostering wealth through tourism.
Selecting the motto of making a fortune through tourism development was a clever strategy on behalf of OIC members for the first time. A stand for these countries' recognition of tourism as one of the world's main economic principles. Nowadays, politicians and policymakers consider tourism as one of the main issues in sustainable development.
Member countries of the organization are spread across several geographical locations, but the single thread that unites them is the faith they share, preserving centuries-old Islamic customs and values and catering for the demands of tourists who perhaps do not subscribe to those jealously guided values, as well as managing social and environmental challenges is a tricky business. Perhaps the buzzword during the Banjul 8 ICTM meeting was harnessing tourism resources and potentials in a more responsible manner.
These noble goals and ideals of our organization, if vigorously pursued and sincerely made sure that it happens, and indeed sincere commitment made to implement them, will not only bring peace and development to our countries, but will also shine as the beacon of hope for other people and nations around the world who also aspire to have a better life that is not characterized by inequalities and civil strife that continues to prick the conscience of humanity. The new lease of life will address the plight of the poor, for example, the weak and the vulnerable, and indeed to stop the horrors of war